Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Two Psychics. This is Michael Edley, evidential medium and mystic, discussing all things spiritual.
Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Two Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive about you. Hello? Hello? Hi, well, this has been a very interesting technology evening. I am so sorry. Welcome to Two Psychics, episode 31. I am Mary Amy, an intuitive wisdom coach, and Michael Edley should be coming on momentarily. And I apologize for everyone who's listening. Anyone, we will get you if you're holding for a reading. We have tonight. It's been crazy, right? Last week we couldn't get on at all. So tonight's episode 31, Healing Sound, and we have guest Shayna Blackmar, a sound healer and Reiki master. Okay, so let's find Michael. He says he's here. Let's find him. Okay, you have to have a lot of patience right now, everyone. Okay, where is he? Nope, I don't see him. What number is he calling from? Text me what number you're calling from, Michael. Okay, so moving on. All right, so tonight we are going to hopefully have a sound bath. We're going to do intuitive readings, and I'm going to share with you what healing sounds are. Let's see. This is just the way technology is, and I apologize. I'm so sorry, everyone who's listening. Let's see. I'm hoping. Okay, let's see. There he is.
Sure, if you can hear me.
Are you here?
I am officially here.
Oh, my gosh.
I have been beamed on from another world.
8 minutes in. This is crazy. You know what, Michael? I don't know. So what I will explain, and we'll get through this. I went on. Oh, now he's gone. Oh, my gosh. It's going to be like that tonight. I'll just say he'll come back. So I was on, and then no one could hear me. I could hear Shayna, who is our guest this evening, and I could hear Michael, but they couldn't hear me, and it was just quiet. And then I got off, got on, and here I am. So I know he's going to call back in, and why he's not here until he gets here, I'm going to explain what sound healing or healing sounds are. And what healing sounds are, well, they carry frequencies for healing. Each sound has a different energy for healing different organs. Decreases stress, improves mood. Here he is again. Are you just hanging up on us, Michael?
I've been beamed in again. The powers that be only want me to selectively be here in between yourself.
Something's going on strange. All right, so I was just explaining what healing sounds are, and
excellent.
Okay, so healing sounds, like I said, carry a different energy for healing different organs, decrease stress, improve mood, enhance cognitive performances, attention, and upgrade mindset. So sound healing, which is what our discussion is tonight, we are excited to have Shayna Blackmar, is a significant technique of immense power and potential used by masters, sage, enlightened beings, priestesses, healers, priests, and this powerful therapy combines different healing sounds, music, and instruments to improve our multidimensional well-being, a mind-body experience, mind-body-spirit experience. Sound healing relaxes, balances your well-being. So sound therapy techniques use instruments, Tibetan, crystal bowls, singing bowls, drums, gongs, tuning forks during a sound bath. And that's what hopefully we're going to hear tonight. The vibrational forces of sounds are emitted and the movement or vibration of matter. Some audible and inaudible human senses which penetrate human tissue come from different sounds. And some of the benefits are boosting energy, lower stress levels, blood pressure, heart rate, anxiety, PTSD, and disorders. Now, it was interesting when I looked into this, I found that different sound waves and sounds from different living and non-living beings, or I guess you could say entities, create a different, I guess you could say, vibration. So there's something called biophony, and it refers to sounds from non-human living organisms, such as birds, mammals, insects, frogs. And patterns emerge from sounds and frequencies received from sounds in your environment that affect feelings, emotions, moods, thoughts created by sound. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want to remind you that there's what we are doing tonight, which is very pleasant and healing, and it will help with your cells and your DNA, and it brings more balance and harmony to you. And then there's other sounds I'm going to mention in a minute that are going to cause distress. There's also something called geophony, which is a wide array of sounds from non-biological natural sources like wind, sea waves, lightning, running water, rain, thunderstorms, floods, volcanoes, earthquakes. And, you know, sometimes we hear I guess you have like a little mechanism that you can turn on that will have white noise, and these different sounds maybe sounds out in nature, and that will help you sleep or calm you down. Now, anthropophony are sounds produced by machines, devices, cars, horns, trains, planes, and this noise causes stress, aggression, hearing loss, depression, and diseases. So I'm saying this to you, everyone, because I just want to let you know that when you utilize these different frequencies, these different sounds, they can help you or they can hinder you. Okay, so what kind of input would you like to give to us, Michael, about what I just said before we bring on Shayna?
All right, so I just want to make sure, since we're talking about sound, can you hear me? Can you hear me well?
I can hear you. Isn't it funny that's our topic tonight, and it's all been about not hearing each other?
We were giving everyone a moment of silence at the beginning of the show.
Gosh.
Normally we come on and start speaking right away, so everyone has their moment of silence meditation. So, no, the interesting thing, there's something new and pretty much cutting edge that therapists, psychologists and psychiatrists, a number of people in the medical system are doing what's called vibroacoustic therapy. And it's almost as if they're presenting it like something new and cutting edge. But when we go back, and we always talk about ancient cultures, ancient civilizations, they've all been tuned in and knew about sound and frequency and the healing that comes from that. We spoke a few weeks ago about the bells, the church bells, the bells that were in town square, and just the healing properties, And the interesting thing is I think we're going to hear a little bit of bells mixed in the sound healing tonight, right? I hope. I think Shayna Blackmar's got some bells and a lot of non-traditional instruments that come from I think we have some lineage that goes back to ancient civilizations as far as like the Asian cultures, the ancient Chinese civilizations that would use different gongs. They would use different bells and different high-frequency metal tones that they would sculpt, bronze and different metals into these forms and create different, I guess, like a steel drum prior to there being a steel drum. So I think that was one of the early civilizations that would really incorporate a lot of the sound and frequencies into their healing therapies. But as far as getting back to vibroacoustic therapy, something that therapists are doing currently, there's a couple of different things that they're tying it to, which is very interesting. We have improved sensory processing. So they're saying that sound therapy, that vibroacoustic therapy can regulate sensory processing issues. So if someone had an issue, with anxiety, improving focus, children that may be borderline autism or be in the autism spectrum, a lot of times, when we're dealing with that, or we're dealing with what they say, ADHD and adult deficit hyperactivity disorder, any type of sensory processing disorder, they're linking very, very good success to the vibroacoustic therapy and the sound healing. They're also linking that to positive motor skill development. So they're saying the body's awareness of its position in space can be affected by those vibrations from the sound healing. That sound healing can stimulate the nervous system. That in turn leads to better coordination, better motor skills. So that's been interesting. They're utilizing that for many clients recovering from strokes or spinal cord injuries and even conditions like cerebral palsy. They're utilizing that in. So that's been very interesting, reading a lot about that. Different pain management, a lot of pain management. They're actually linking the vibrations of sound to activating the body's pain relieving mechanisms. So they're saying overall pain perception is reduced significantly. So a lot of the therapists are working with, chronic pain issues, arthritis, musculoskeletal injuries. So they're finding a lot of success in that pain management. I believe they're also using it for balance. So I think for like balance and gait. So it's playing a role in spatial orientation, allowing the body to recalibrate and rebalance after neurological injuries or even like aging. They're finding in senior citizens, if they're having problems with neurological condition or an injury that doesn't give them proper balance, the sound frequencies are actually allowing their body to recalibrate its spatial orientation. So that's been pretty interesting. And then the things that we always talk about, there's, reduced anxiety and depression, a lot of those mental health conditions, stress, a lot of that can be released or basically minimizing the overwhelming effects from it by allowing the sound frequencies, to enter our body, to meditate with them, to help that release, any of those symptoms. So I think there's a lot. And, I think it's just something that's going to keep growing and expanding. And the more we research it, I think the more promise it's going to have and the more they're going to say, wow, the ancient cultures were onto something. And what is this lost technology that now we're reawakening to? And it seems like that's it with so much of this stuff. We're just reawakening to these ancient healing modalities that have always been with us, but they've been kind of pushed away or hidden or forgotten about.
So back when I kind of started looking into this sound healing, and I realized that there was these different frequencies that were beneficial to us, I started to learn that on levels that we didn't realize, we could heal ourselves through sound healing. And I give you a couple examples. 400, and you've mentioned this in the past, Michael, 432 hertz decreases the body production of stress hormone cortisol. Okay. And 432 hertz tune music was associated with slight decrease of blood pressure values. And there was this, I guess, what they did was they changed the sounds. What was it? 440.
So there was a standardized tuning. So basically, 440 hertz was your standard C tuning that was utilized. They wanted to basically sync up all the different orchestras throughout the world when they were playing together. So different musicians and different written music and different things would basically be in sync. They would correlate. There wasn't a lot of interpretation or misinterpretation if musicians were going overseas and playing. So they were trying to standardize all the tuning. But what they were doing was completely changing the sound waves, completely manipulating and changing the standard frequency of 432, which most music at that point was that was the standardized pitch. It was 432 hertz, and they switched that around to 440 hertz. And the interesting thing is, they say the earth cycles and its resonant frequency is 432 hertz. The Buddhist monk the Om, they believe originated at 432 hertz. A lot of the earliest recordings that they have of different music and I would say ancient tones and like Gregorian chant, and a lot of these different ancient, I guess you could tie them into traditional religious, religious gospel, I guess it would be somehow, or, ancient monk chanting, and it all resonated at that 432 hertz. So they felt that would balance and calibrate the body's energy systems, and it would also help ground us to Mother Earth. So if we were resonating in 432 hertz with Mother Earth, our energy would be grounding into that earth plane, and there would just be, I guess, an electrical balance that would allow us to connect to everything on an earthly level, and I believe that would kind of bring things full circle, because I believe there is that connection on a spiritual level, that divine connection, and then we can allow that divine connection within to complete the circuit down into Mother Earth. It's almost like it brings it full circle and completely aligns us with everything that is. And so was that taken away from us, or was that changed for a reason? Curious minds want to know. But, there's a lot of theory behind that. And the interesting thing is, again, we have who was behind standardizing the music in terms of trying to bring stability to music platforms, musicians, orchestral performances, conductors, all these different things. It was supposed to actually help the business of music. It was the Rockefellers. So, and this is stuff that, through the early mid 1900s, it started, and over like a 20-year period, I believe it was from the mid 30s, I believe it was 1933, 1934, where this was introduced. And then I believe in 1954, it was finalized and standardized throughout the world. So as we currently know, 440 hertz is your standardized pitch for all music.
If you choose to listen to this beyond this evening, everyone who's out there, I would suggest that you put it in one of the search engines and look for some kind of, music or video. And there's these different hertz that will bring all of these wonderful changes within you. For example,
Mary Amy, not to cut you off, but you're talking about hearing the different tones. A little tidbit talking about YouTube. There is an artist on YouTube that actually has current songs, and he re-recorded them in 432 and 440, and you can actually play back to back the song, and you can feel on an energetic level the difference of current songs. And you'd have to look it up, but you can hear both of those, and it's current top 40 stuff has it in 440, 432, and literally you can feel the difference of the music. So sorry, it didn't interrupt.
No. I'm glad you're saying.
It's very interesting.
Tell me.
Yeah, fascinating.
And so I guess why I'm giving this suggestion is after we get off tonight, and when we're lucky enough to hear whatever Shayna presents to us, if you want to emulate some of that, and you're driving around or you need to kind of calm yourself down, you can listen to these different hertz. Like 417 hertz resolves past trauma and facilitates change. And they're also associated with some of your chakras. 528 hertz, transformation and miracles. 632 hertz, connect and heal relationships. 741 hertz, express truth and communication. 832 hertz awakens your intuition. 963 hertz connects with the divine. For me, I realized after I began listening to these different tones and sounds, I started to change because it was affecting me. And it was affecting me to be more connected to divine energies, other dimensions, the purity of, I guess, the universe. And it brings in a lot of lovely traits, and it will change you. And that is why we have this. Now, I don't know if everyone realizes we had Shayna Blackmar here with us at our second episode back in, it had to have been January, early February. And here she was lucky. We were lucky enough to have her again last week if everyone hung on and found that nothing worked because the system was down and there was no one to fix the system till the next day. And again, I apologize for what happened earlier. So we are going to bring her on. I'm going to give you some ideas about what she's all about. I'm going to read a little bio about her. Before I tell you that, I would like to remind everyone that you can find Michael Edley at michaeledley.com if you want to reach out to him for a reading, find out book him for something, either a private or one of his upcoming events. You can find me at maryamyofficial.com. And you can find me and hear about my events. I do have an event coming up November 1st and 2nd. It's a Friday and Saturday, and it's in Pelham Manor, New York, at the Manor Club. And I'm going to be doing 20-minute sessions and 40-minute sessions. There's also going to be crafts and vendors and clothes, and that's in Pelham Manor. Now, moving forward, we have upcoming guests October 3rd, if all goes well. We have Estrella Feminine Priestess. And October 10th, we have Lou Martin, who's a channel and an intuitive. You can find our merchandise at Spread Shop. And we would love, love, love if you follow us here on Blog Talk Radio and on our Facebook page, which is Two Psychics Radio Show. All right. Now, I will tell you all about Shayna Blackmar. She's a wonderful being of light. She is an intuitive light worker. And she is a powerful catalyst helping tune and recalibrate the vibrations higher for your health and well-being. And she offers intuitive guidance that comes through in sessions. Let me tell you, she's a pure heart. She is a certified Reiki master and sound healer and is professionally trained in high-frequency sound healing. She incorporates crystal singing bowls, Tibetan bowls, gongs, drums, crystal pyramids, and chimes into healing sessions to magnify the healing experience. It is a foundational belief of hers that everything is vibration and that the higher we can vibrate, the healthier we become. I don't know what kind of vibration we're giving off because the technology was not liking us today. Shayna sees private clients, performs private sound baths and group sound baths. I'm hoping she's going to do some readings as well as give us a sound bath. She's from Austin, Texas. Now, her sound baths are journeys into deep, refreshing, and rejuvenating places within yourself. They are powerful, healing, cleansing, and relaxing. You can find all this information on our Blog Talk Radio, and if you click onto this link, it will come through. Now, you can reach her at her website, and I'll spell it, VURUSHA.com, and she will tell you more about that. And here she is, Shayna Blackmar. Where are you?
Hi, Mary and Michael. Can you hear me?
You made
Hello,
it.
Shayna. How are you?
I'm good. Success.
We can all finally hear each other. We are all in the same room.
We're in the same dimension.
So how are you? How is Texas treating you?
I'm good. It is actually a little bit cool tonight. It is amazing. So yeah, finally cooling off, feeling good.
Nice. Excellent. So that is fantastic. So can you tell us, we talked to you, wow, what was it? When were you on last? Was it like a couple months, like 3-4 months ago?
It was the third episode, so it was a
Wow,
while ago.
okay.
February.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So what's been going on between now and then? Bring us up to speed. How's everything going?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the energies have been intense for myself and a lot of people from what I gather, just lots of clearing and healing and for myself and clients and assisting and one day at a time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's been good. I'm growing and playing more And and actually I was, listening to you talk at the beginning about all the different ways that sound healing is helpful. And I actually met with a guy who owns a gong shop, and he is working on continuing research of basically trying to scientifically prove in different ways different benefits of listening to the gong. And so he would have people listen to the gong for like 10 minutes every day for a couple of weeks and showing marked improvement. And, I think he's planning some other research opportunities, but it's amazing. They're finding more and more about how you can actually see the benefits. It's not just, oh, it feels good, oh, it sounds pretty. It's actually amazingly beneficial.
Yeah, it's awesome when they can put the science behind it and the studies, and they can actually back it up with, here's the evidence. We've studied this. Here it is. This is before and after. So yeah, amazing things. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, one thing I'm really curious about. So now you use a whole wide array of different instruments. Different history behind them. Now, how do you choose what instruments to kind of mix and blend? Is there something like, do you meditate on it? Is it just like what's calling to you? Do you hear the sounds that you want to create and combine before you mix them? What's that process like?
Yeah, well, they're tuned to 432 hertz, and then I do have two instruments that are tuned to the 528 hertz. And so I usually do the ones at the beginning of the session that are more for breaking up energies, breaking up blockages, clearing things out. So like the drum, the gong, the Tibetan bowls that are a little bit more, not aggressive, but just more for clearing. They're going to break stuff up. And so I'll do those in the first half. And then as far as, duration of each or strength of each, that just kind of flows through depending on what the person needs or the energies of the day. And then for the latter half, I'll do the crystal bowls, the higher tuned crystal bowl, the crystal pyramid, for filling up that space that has been cleared with the higher frequencies, getting into all the tissues, all the chakras, getting in those finer nooks and crannies, basically. So that's kind of the general layout. And then, again, just like the timing and duration, how strong I'm playing, that kind of thing varies with each time.
That's very
Shayna.
Cool. Now, was there a particular instrument that just called to you initially? Like, what was? And I don't know if we talked about this last time you were on, but I'm very curious. What was the first instrument? Like, what was the first drum or bell or chime or gong? Like, what was the initial thing that really called you into this? And you're like, I want to play this instrument. This is really the sound and the feel and the everything that was coming from it.
Yeah, I think the drum helped open me up to it, and then I really loved the quartz bowls. But then once I went to the sound training, I wasn't all that excited about the gong, but once I played them, it was just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, I'll never forget the first time I had a gong bath. I didn't know what to expect, and it was a crystal bowl practitioner, and was actually doing like a small, it was a sound healing gathering, and they were trying different instruments, and it was the first time I experienced the gong bath incorporated with some of the crystal bowls, and wow, it was amazing. I literally felt that vibration from like head to toe, and I felt like I was floating, and it was a pretty amazing experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Shayna,
so the gong is very powerful.
Shayna, I wanted to ask you, did you realize any kind of activation when you began doing this within you about dormant DNA, and did it shift your dreams, your thoughts, your awareness, because it connected you to like another realm or dimension?
Absolutely. I was able, after I did my training, to get a gong, and I did get a pretty big one. And I just have kind of taken over my living room with all my sound instruments. And so I played every day for like, I don't know, almost 2 years, and it changed me. Just I could feel everything vibrating within me. It changed my home, my relationship with my daughter, with friends, with family, because I was being raised up just by playing, and my whole environment was raising in vibration as well. I don't know what specific DNA was activated, but it just felt just filling up with so much light.
Did you dream differently when you're sleeping?
Oh, I know you love dreams. Not that I recall. I've had probably the most dreams in the past couple of months than I remember in a long time, but I don't remember specifically around that time.
How many sessions do you normally find? Because you do a lot of sound, like one-on-one sound healing sessions, correct?
Yes, and Reiki, yeah.
Yeah, and the Reiki. Now, do you notice a pretty significant improvement with your client after the first session, or is it something that gradually builds over a period of time? Or, I guess with anything, different people are going to be affected differently, but what do you normally see? What do you see released, or what's the initial effect when someone's exposed to that sound healing?
Yeah, even with just one session, it's so powerful, and I find it's even more so with the people who are really open to it, and not that it's not effective for people who aren't, but the ones that are open are receiving even more. They're not blocking any any clearing or vibrations at all. So the ones that are really open and ready, or just really interested and kind of like, oh, let's see what happens, just ready. They have really powerful experiences, either clearing, like emotional releasing, or seeing colors, or just kind of astral traveling. It really varies a lot. And then each session is cumulative too, because their person is raising their vibration a little bit with the healing that they've done, and the frequency of the instruments, and then that just each session helps them rise up more and more and more and more. So it's really powerful.
Yeah, that's very cool. And anyone out there listening that hasn't experienced any type of sound healing or just experienced a gong bath, I would definitely say go and do it, or jump on. Now, Shayna, if someone wanted to hear some of the stuff you have out there, what's going to be the easiest way for any of our audience members to hear, like, one of your sound healing ceremonies that you do, or what? Now, are there multiple aspects to this? Is one a complete ceremony? Is one like a one-on-one journey? And do you guide it differently depending on what you're doing and different instruments around that?
I have some recordings on my website under the meditations page, and then on the YouTube channel under Shayna Blackmar, and they're all like similar but different. Like the instruments are for the most part the same, but as far as my intention and the energy that's flowing through, and then some of the wording at the beginning is a little bit different, based on just kind of what came through to share. There's one for forgiveness, there's one for grounding, there's one for, specifically working through all the chakras. All sound healing does a little bit, but that one's a little bit more specific. There's heart opening, and then the time varies. Some are 40 minutes. There's a couple that are an hour. So you can just kind of get in there and play and just listen, and it is different in person, but you still, oh my gosh, receive the vibrations and so much healing and benefit just listening as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if anyone out there listening, if you can put on a pair of headphones and just kind of drop into the sounds and the vibration and just really feel that, I guarantee for people that say, hey, I can't meditate, or I can't quiet my mind down, and all these thoughts are always going, don't you find that in the sound healing, in the therapy of the vibrations and the music, that you can just kind of drop in and allow any of that anxiety, any of that tension to just release in the sound?
Absolutely, totally, and especially that's another reason why I like to do the gong at the beginning of the session, because the gong and the binaural beats that it gives off basically forces the brain to shut off, because there's so much going on left and right that it can't process it all. It has to stop thinking.
Yeah, that is awesome.
It's great.
So
Shayna,
I know Mary Ann. Yeah, there you go. There you are.
I just wanted to ask you. So Shayna, because I have questions and then I don't want to interrupt because there's a flow going on, and I say, hold on, try to get in my 2 cents. Shayna, can you remind us how this all began for you? I know Michael always asks this question of our guests because it is so important to me, where you were before all of a sudden you kind of had some kind of awakening or awareness to get into sound healing. Can you share with us your story?
Yeah, it wasn't direct, which that's probably the case for anybody. I was an esthetician for 15 years, giving facials, and I didn't know anything about energy healing or anything like that, and started really feeling exhausted after my shifts and noticing I was feeling things in my body that my clients were saying that they were dealing with, and basically figured out I was an empath and started researching that and how I can clear and not take on other people's things and protect my energy while helping my clients, that kind of thing. And then a few years later, somebody told me about Reiki, which I had never heard of, had no idea what it was. And it was kind of like, oh my God, I have to know all about that right now. And so I went through all the courses and became a Reiki master pretty quickly, but just did it for friends and family for many years. But it was coming through in my facials. Like it was flowing anyway. And then there were like some health things going on, and I was on my own kind of, health and healing journey simultaneous to these things going on. And I started really focusing on my healing, my emotional healing, and working with a mentor, and did just a lot of healing work. And the energy started coming through really strong. And, Spirit was basically saying, okay, you need to share this with more people. So I started, part-time doing the Reiki even more while doing the skincare. And then it came through, okay, now you need to add sound healing in. And at first I wasn't excited about it because I had been to one sound bath before that and didn't like it at all, which I know sounds weird. I don't know if it was the person or the space that it was in or the other people in the room. I don't know what it was, but it did not feel good to me. And so when it came through to do the sound healing a few years later, it was like, okay, I'll try it. Like I'm trusting Spirit here. And it was just amazing. It was, night and day from the experience that I had years before. And, I guess I was ready, and it just has flowed and integrated into everything. And I feel like I see the world totally differently now, just understanding vibration and how it works, not just with the sounds, but with everything, with our bodies, with our emotions. And it's not that we're not doing the work when we're in grief or guilt or fear. It's that those are really low frequency vibrations, and they're dense and they're heavy, and it's easy to get stuck. So I love the Reiki and the sound healing because you're immersed in these higher frequencies and held, making it easier for the lower frequencies to shake out, and you to be able to heal easier in a safe and gentle space.
When you were a little girl, did you ever realize, or did you feel as though you were more sensitive than other kids? because you're so sensitive. I mean, if I
Oh,
could.
yeah. Oh, my God,
Okay,
yeah.
I was going to say you're so sensitive. Okay.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Well, what's interesting is, do you feel that when you started tuning into the music and the frequencies and you just felt this energy flowing through your body, did that almost supercharge all that intuitive psychic ability that was just kind of floating around in there? Or like, what was the process of that unfolding, or that like all kind of connecting and coming full circle for you?
It's really helped me to open up and let things flow a lot easier, as opposed to wanting to control things or do this, or I want to see this. It's really helped me open up and just surrender and know and honor and respect that I'm the conduit, and just let it flow through me. Like, there's no ego's not going to help anybody. It has to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really helped me open up and let things flow, like spirit flow through. Yeah.
Now, if anyone in our audience wanted to start working with, like a small hand drum or a little gun, what would be an easy thing that someone could just do in their own home to initially just start working with the vibration or the sound? Would there be like a particular instrument, or would there be a particular process that you would say, hey, this may be the easy first initial step for someone to do if they wanted to try to work with sound as a healing tool?
Yeah, the Tibetan bowls are really versatile, whether they get a set or anyone from like the root, sacral, solar plexus, or the heart chakra one, if one of those is calling to them, because you can break up energies. It's also the higher frequency. It helps align the cells to that higher frequency. You can put them on the body, which is super, super powerful. And, striking them on the body is really breaks up things and helps things flow. We're intended to be these fluid beings, and if things are stagnant, then there's problems. So I think as far as a starter, the Tibetan bowls are really lovely. If someone is, things that up and can be expensive quickly, if one bowl that is kind of works on all the chakras, all the layers, that's really beautiful, and you could just get the one. It's a 528 hertz crystal quartz bowl, the quartz singing bowl. And that one is really powerful because it's, again, the higher frequency, and it's working on all the chakras, all the bodies, all the layers.
I just had a vision, Shayna, that in our premonition in the future, we're going to have to all go buy stock in this if the stock market stays, in a company that sells these sound healing instruments. Because wouldn't it be ideal if everyone on the planet had one of these in their home? How it would change the world if everyone listened to this, or they started their morning every day listening to this, and ended their day listening to this.
Ended the day after being around people,
like these sounds were just streaming through towns where they had some kind of large, I guess, would it be some kind of sound equipment where it was just going through the entire town all the time. It would change everybody's personality in a positive way.
Well, what's really interesting, Mary Amy, when you talk about that, when you look at ancient civilizations and when they discover like these old structures that were buried in, Göbekli Temple, all these different areas around the world, even the pyramids and stuff, you look at the geometrical location and you look at the frequencies that are occurring like in the ground, or you look at these meridian lines and whatever may be there energetically, usually more often than not, there's some type of frequencies running through that perimeter of land, and they definitely were tied into that. They definitely knew something. And they, you think about the ancient cultures, they didn't have the computerized, well, not that we know of, the equipment that we have today that we can analyze and monitor, all the sound spectrums, and we can, put our scopes and our scanners in and see what's going on. So there had to be something. There had to be some way they could tune into this and knew about it, because when we look at the ancient civilizations and where they were, they all align with some type of area that's tuned in to frequency and sound and energy.
So that's our future.
It is. We have to get back.
I believe so. Because it will elevate everyone into another consciousness, and it will unite everyone and dispel negativity and darkness. A light, what's the word? It would be a tone of light. Is that what you're going to, be doing for us tonight? Are you going to do a sound bath?
Yeah, are you ready?
We're ready.
Of course,
okay.
We're ready.
Get comfortable.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be listening to it on my phone. I'm still going to enjoy it, but I don't have my headphones that I could totally immerse in it. So I'm going to mute my phone though, and I'm going to turn my volume all the way up. Can you tell us, before you get into the meditation, can you tell us a little bit about the instruments you're going to be using and maybe a little bit about those instruments?
Sure. I've got a 38-inch brilliant symphonic gong. And there's a bunch of different planetary gongs. This one called to me because it's very balanced. It's not just working on one thing. It works on all the chakras in the whole body. So the symphonic gong. And then I've got a set of Tibetan bowls, one for each of the chakras, and the 432 hertz quartz bowls, one for each chakra. The 528 hertz quartz crystal bowl, and then a 528 hertz crystal pyramid that has this beautiful kind of wah 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 sound when I play that. It's so awesome. And then some Canary chimes that I'll play at the end. That it's the shell of the canary nut that grows in South America, and it sounds like water. So it's super, super relaxing. So, yeah.
I'm excited.
All right. Everybody
I think
ready?
Mary Amy's already getting in the zone. Are you awake still, Mary Amy? You with us? Or are you already laying out, ready to go?
I've been looking forward to this for a whole week now, because last week was so disappointing, and I'm so sorry, Shayna, that did not happen. But here we are. So we didn't give up.
So everybody out there, get in a comfortable position.
Yes.
Turn your computer volume all the way up. And we're going to get ready to be engulfed in the sounds from Shayna Blackmar.
All right. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, sending it all the way down and connect into the earth. On your next inhale, breathe in, and exhale, connect up all the way up to source. And breathe in. So you're connected above and below. Filling up with light, anchoring it into the earth. A nice big inhale. And exhale, sending it down to your feet. Again, big inhale. Exhale, sending it down to your feet. Wiggling your toes and your fingers. Coming back to earth. All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have to say, I'm feeling very relaxed.
Oh, good.
I started to fall asleep initially.
Yeah, what was interesting
like,
for me, you almost fell asleep. See, I was a little distracted initially just because a lot of different things I'm kind of planning out, different projects in the works. So, and I had that stuff just at the forefront of my mind. And it's almost like the sounds took me on this guided meditation and just kind of pulled my mind away from the thoughts. And it was really good, really good. It was releasing of, I would say, that anxious energy and allowing myself to ground. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. That worked fantastic.
Absolutely. Oh, gosh. And I remembered while I was playing, I saw this somewhere on social media, so take it with a grain of salt. A few weeks ago that, 100 years ago, 200, 300 years ago, when there were family cows, like especially in Europe and, like Asia and India, and they would wear the bells around their neck.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
it wasn't to, so they wouldn't get lost, so they could find them. It was actually to protect the cows from parasites. The sound of the bells protected the cows. I don't know how true this is, but vibrationally it makes sense. I mean, if you were to play or listen to, these high vibrational tones every day, like parasites and bacteria, viruses, they can't live in that high vibrational environment. They don't want to be around it. So I thought that was really cool.
No, that's actually really interesting. And it's interesting you bring that up because they're utilizing sound therapy for cancer treatment too. They're finding certain cancer cells implode at certain frequencies. So it's very interesting. And the interesting thing too, talking about parasites, is one of the new things that I'm seeing in a lot of natural, holistic markets is homeopathic medicines. And all homeopathic remedies, they're all based upon a frequency.
Right.
And there is anti-parasitic homeopathic remedies that people seem to really be having good results with in other countries. Because here, it's interesting, here in the U.S., we don't really treat for parasites. And not to kind of throw off topic, but it's interesting to think that the sound can destroy something that may be present in our system without us even knowing it, causing different underlying health effects. And you think about Europe and all these other nations around the world, they actually treat their citizens, part of their medical system is treating for parasitic infestation. And it's interesting, anybody that eats sushi, and if you're eating raw food that hasn't been frozen, you might want to do some sound frequencies. There might be something crawling around in there if you're eating sushi. I don't know. But, it's very interesting that, sound healing can be used for so many different things. Unbelievable.
Shayna, did you ever have any clients, or have you ever heard when someone hears this for the first time early on, that they feel as though almost it's jarring in a good way because it's affecting them so much? Because I have to tell you, one of the first times you did this for me, I can remember it was like it shook me up in a good way.
I remember that.
Have you ever had anyone else say that, or am I the only one?
Yeah, I have someone that comes to mind, and it was at first I think a little scary for them because it didn't necessarily, something came up that an old fearful feeling, but they sat with it, they breathed through it and let it clear, and by the end they felt a lot better, a lot more at peace. So some things can come up, and it's the nice thing is these are good high frequencies that are good for you, and it's just helping move things out. It's not anything to attach a story to. It's just something that's ready to clear and release that you're done with, you can be free of.
I felt tonight as though it was helping balance me and bring everything in alignment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I felt a lot of balance and grounding. And what's interesting is when I started focusing on the energy of it, as far as colors that I started seeing a lot of yellows, oranges, reds, so for me, the solar plexus, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, so all that grounding energy was definitely flowing through, and it was definitely helping me kind of rebalance and recalibrate my energetic system for sure.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Question, would you like to take some callers and give some kind of guidance?
Sure, if anyone has a question.
Okay. All right, so here we go. I'm going to here's someone that was on since we started through thick and thin of tonight. And I don't, and I did not screen. I do not screen. I just bring them on and we see where it goes. Okay, so we're
someone that
see.
went through our initial meditation of silence, we definitely need to bring them on.
You just ask them what happened. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Hi, this is Mary, Michael, and Shayna. Who's this?
Hi there, this is Valerie. Thank you so much. I was like, what the heck is... The first time I was disconnected, I'm like, what the heck? Are you kidding me? And then I was listening, and it was very soothing. Just
we were saying the same thing, Valerie. We were going, what is happening? Amy was flying solo for a little while, and Shayna and I were kind of out in limbo. We were interdimensional travelers. Thank you for calling in. And where are you calling in from, Valerie?
I am in New York.
New York. All right.
Yes.
You're close.
Yes.
You're close to us.
Yes.
But, what question did you have for us tonight? And you are very lucky because Shayna is hanging on with us, and she's going to be doing some readings with us. So this is very cool. So what question did you have for Shayna? Let's see if we can kind of tune in intuitively and give you a little insight and guidance.
Oh, thank you so much. This is about a gentleman, and I would just like to know kind of where he's at, so to speak, if he's having any thought of reaching back out to me, if I kind of invited him to do something this weekend, kind of even threw in there, my birthday's coming up, I'll split everything with you, I just want to go. I'm not looking for a birthday gift, but it would be something fun to go do with that person.
Okay, cool. So how is this relationship going to unfold with this gentleman that you're interacting with, and you have a birthday coming up? So what's kind of in store around the future energy in this interconnected relationship energy exchange? So Shayna, what are you feeling around this?
Will there be a reconnection? Yeah.
Okay, will there be a reconnection?
Anything.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm feeling like he's thinking about you, but that you need to focus on yourself.
Okay.
I don't know if that's what you want to hear.
No. I'm just listening. No, I appreciate any feedback and kind of, what's what, if we'll go this weekend, or if I'll hear from him, when I'll hear from him, or anything. Just anything in general.
Yeah.
If he wants to come and kill me, no, I'm just kidding.
You just focus on yourself and what would make you happy, and follow that. And if he falls in line and it steps up, then great. If not, you're still going to go do something that makes you happy.
Okay, but I guess, and I appreciate that, but that doesn't really tell me if he's going to be reaching out.
It depends on what he chooses. He's thinking about you is what I'm feeling, but I don't know.
Okay. Any other?
What do you get, Mary Amy?
How about Michael?
What do you get, Mary Amy? What do you get, Mary Amy? I'm going to hand it off to Mary Amy, and then I'll focus on the
Thank you.
Okay, so Valerie, I just want to let you know too that I don't know if you're really close to your phone, or it sometimes crackles a little bit. Okay. So what I received right away was that it's a combination. When I receive information, it's an image, and then I come up with words flow out of me. And I first saw a men's dress shirt with a tie, some pink, and then I heard love. I received to step into your freedom, and this is going to help you with ways to improve yourself and learn. So I sense that there is going to be a reconnection or a connection. There is a connection with this person for you, and I think you're going to get something out of it. Is it a forever thing? I'm not receiving that, but I am receiving that it's going to improve and help you. This is all related to your inner thoughts, and you are, I believe that something positive is definitely going to come from this interaction, and you should only manifest something that's positive about it, and don't think, because you just tailed off into saying something negative. So we don't want you to ever say anything like that, because that's not related to this. I don't know if that was, I know you were joking, but I'm going to say let's manifest, let's visualize positivity related to this and light around the situation. And, there's what's called the law of cause and effect. You can change outcomes through your thoughts, words, and actions. Our thoughts carry a charged impulse and emotions and feelings. You have a very strong intensity. and you can, whether you realize it or not, send energy through your thoughts to people. So just take a step back there, breathe it out, and don't suffocate him with your thoughts, because he will circle back to you. That's what I received.
Okay,
right.
and I appreciate that, because I do have sometimes a tendency to, I hate to use the word suffocate as you did, but I mean well, but sometimes I can be a little overbearing, and I don't like that about myself, because I mean really well. I really mean well, but I can be a little overbearing, and I try to pull back on that just in general a lot, because some people look at me and go, oh, gosh, what is this girl doing or thinking? And I'm like, but. So, yes, I agree.
I'm not saying not to be yourself, because we don't want to pretend when we're in some kind of relationship, whether romantic or not, to not be ourselves, because then we're not really having the experience. We're not allowing our own expression. I mean, obviously, none of us are perfect, and we can always learn. And that's why I said, when I said to you, this is going to be ways for you to learn and improve yourself. Okay. Michael?
So, Valerie, as I hear the energy of your voice, I'm basically connecting to your collective. I call it your collective, the saints, the angels, your loved ones, the spirit, your collective, all the energy systems that are around you. I'm going to bring through some information just that's coming to me. Now, understand that this information's coming through. If they're giving me a name, an initial, a specific date, it's coming from your collective. So this could be, I could be getting some type of validation from a loved one in spirit that just wants you to know they're around, or your collective could be giving me a name that pertains to this situation or something that could be unfolding in this future energy cycle. Now, initially, the one thing that I have a few initials, a few names, but I want to talk about November, mid-November, and this is like kind of after the election cycle. So I know we're going into a high energy, it's basically an energy unfoldment that's going to be around, a lot of this anxiety and a lot of this fear that happens around the politics and the sensational, the sensational news and all this rift. So I want you to not focus on that energy. So I'm being drawn to November 14th as a significant energy cycle that you can't get pulled into a lot of the drama. I feel like there's different drama and energy around you that you can easily get pulled into because you're very intuitive, you're very empathic. I feel like you feel other people's energy so much.
I do.
And I feel like that's why you're giving a lot of yourself out. And what you call overbearing, I almost feel like, in a sense, you feel like you have to put out so much of your energy so people can know and feel, your emotion in a sense. I don't know if you necessarily speak it as well as you try to show it, but in showing it, that can feel a little, like you said, it can feel a little suffocating to someone that may not be ready for that, or someone that's a little more introverted and needs some of that space. So that would be my one thing, is just kind of focus on the energy that you're exuding into the world, and also the energy that you're absorbing into the world first off, because I don't want you to be imbalanced. So what we're doing tonight, like the sound healing, listening to the different frequencies to try to balance and ground our energy, that would be the first thing I would do internally, just to kind of balance your system. If you feel like you're overwhelming someone, then to me, what I'm hearing is I may not be fully in control of my energy, so I would say start working with that energy, and I think that'll make you feel much more empowered. See, right now I feel like there's a bit of a disempowering energy coming from you, and it's not necessarily your fault. That's societal conditions, just getting drawn into the news, current events, those type of things can kind of pull us, and it can do what I call discombobulate our energy. So work on grounding your energy, breath work, like Shayna was doing initially, bringing us back to focusing on our breath, the sound. But November, the energy cycle of mid-November is going to be very important for you. So something is going on now. Is mid-November or November 14th, the 1-4, is that a significant date to you, a birthday, an anniversary, someone's passing, that you can identify immediately?
Not that I'm aware of, no. It's not that.
And that's why I want to ask, because if it's not a specific date, then they're giving me that date as an energy cycle. So I do believe you're in the process of a new energy cycle unfolding. So in that new energy cycle, absolute opportunity for positive relationships unfolding, career advancement, a shifting, if there's any kind of change that you want in a positive way, whether that's around a work-life balance, a relationship, a new skill, a new hobby, a new trade, a new career. Like these things I see very positive going into this energy cycle. So you may want to kind of gear yourself for that, gear yourself for transition and change so you can take advantage of any opportunities that may come your way. Now, I have to talk about the funny thing is I don't know if this is for you, if you're a big Elvis fan or Memphis, Tennessee. It's weird. I'm getting information multiple ways. So I heard Memphis, Tennessee, but I'm hearing Elvis. So is there a connection to you and Elvis or Memphis, Tennessee, or around a family member, you, a song? So is there a connection around Memphis, Tennessee or Elvis?
The only thing I can think of, I know people who like Elvis, I liked his music, of course. He was good.
Is there someone in spirit? So is there male energy in spirit that would have been like Elvis fan or like into that 50s and the R&B and like very big musical, like a musical influence, or like kind of that was the way they expressed themselves and really went that route? Because
I know my exes that I asked about, his dad really liked Elvis.
Okay.
Elvis.
So as I was getting that information, that I was just getting a lot of Elvis symbolism, I started seeing. So I started feeling the Richard. I don't know if there's an R, Richard, if that name is significant to you or in spirit or around you here, and John, the J. I started getting significance to the J-O, and I feel like they were both associated with male energy. So is there
actually? John is my ex's dad's name. And
okay,
Richard,
and he would be tied into Elvis and the Memphis, or he would be kind of, that could have been symbolism around him when he was coming through.
He is still here, and he likes Elvis. But
okay.
Richard, and I don't know. This is a guy who I recently met who has tried to, woo me, but I'm not so sure. He's not the connection I want. I'm asking about the specific connection.
Okay, so check this out. So we got to see how this unfolds. So now, so you can take both of those names. So they're not in spirit around you. So I'm getting them from your collective. Now, understand, your collective, loved ones in spirit, your guides, angels, it's all that's around you supporting you in a very positive, uplifting way.
Yeah.
When they're giving me information, they're trying to guide you in some certain way, or they're giving you positive connections around some type of situation that you're navigating here in the physical. So now, when they give me the John and Elvis, so they're definitely talking about that gentleman. Now, can I ask you this? Is there a situation or a scenario that you're navigating with him, or a connection that he could possibly help you maneuver in a positive way if you had positive influence from him?
About who? Which one?
Is there about the John and the Elvis name?
Well,
that's something in the
his son is my ex, who I'd like to reconnect with.
Okay. All right. So then the information I'm bringing through, the name John and the name Richard, so they definitely pertain to scenarios, people that you know here in the physical. I just want to make sure I'm pulling the information. Okay. All right. So I appreciate that.
But Richard is somebody different.
No, that's fine, but they're talking about Richard. So this is where, so now the interesting thing when you're talking to a medium, I'm reading a language of energy, so I'm trying to interpret now this is me, I'm bringing through the pure information. So the Elvis, the Memphis, Tennessee, the name Richard, the name John being tied into the Elvis symbolism, I have to bring that through purely as information so you can identify it. So I appreciate that validation. Now that they're giving me that information and we can validate it, I want to try to see what they're talking about. So I would say when they're associating the John, the father, so that's your ex, so we're tying him into the guy you're talking about. So this pertains directly to the question you asked, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to now go to the Richard name, and I want to think about some of the energy. So they're pointing out Richard, maybe his personality or demeanor or something he did in some way that kind of connects us to the gentleman you're talking about. So I'm wondering, was there something you did or something you influenced in that relationship that, like, what was the Richard? Who was he to you? That was another relationship?
Yeah. No, I was working, and he was somebody who came through where I worked, and I happened to mention I was tired, and that I had a small business on the side. And he said, oh, well, what's that information I probably, could use you? And as I talked to him a couple more times, we had some of the same interests, but I realized he was trying to really take me on a date and not so much use what I was doing. And I'm like, God, I feel tricked.
Okay, so you feel there was a little deception around the Richard name. So would that be, like, if we were to take, like, one word, would it be like a deception, or like what was the emotion or what was the feeling around that? Like what transpired?
What transpired? How I felt was, okay, here's a guy. He could have just said, hey, I want to take you out on a date. But instead, here I'm thinking, I'm going to get another job from this.
Okay, so now, all right, pause for a moment.
Yeah.
So now let's take that information now. How are you, so now just take that little piece of emotional energy. So now you have to understand your collective is trying to show us something you can utilize in a positive way to manifest what you want to try to manifest. And that will be a reconnection or some rekindling of this relationship with the ex, correct? With
my ex.
Yes, with the ex. We're not talking Richard. We're just reading the energy of the situation around you, Richard. Okay, so now let me ask you this. With your ex, have you been upfront? Have you reached out to him and have you said, hey, I why don't we go out for dinner? Or why don't I cook you something? Why don't we take a walk? Have you made any type of incentive, or have you made him, have you shown him in any way, shape, or form that you're interested? Okay, so you have expressed that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. So I do believe that's one. Like, if we have to take one part of the puzzle here, I would definitely say they're trying to show you may need to make the first move. You may need to approach it in the same way that you approached that, even though, like looking at him, hey, he could have been direct. He could have said this. He maybe, didn't beat around the bush. He could have, told me what he was thinking rather than be deceptive or manipulate or whatever could be, misconstrued or misinterpreted on an emotional level. So I think just look at maybe positive aspects of that, or things you could have done differently, or things that may be similar, or there may be some kind of corresponding emotion or energy around that relationship and the relationship of your ex. So I would just try to see. They're showing us something around the name Richard. So I would try to see if there's a correlation. And just, kind of feel out that energy around it. Now, I have to ask about, like, when we talk about this, what's interesting is I'm being drawn to a significance to the F initial. Is there a significance to the F initial around you or around your ex?
F or S?
F. F as in Frank?
F. I don't know. F.
Okay, so just be aware of the F initial. They're giving me that F as some type of positive influence or connection around the situation you're navigating. Now, I'm not feeling energy of male or female versus that, but just be aware if an F, a Frank, a Fran, a Fred, and that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like that FR energy around it. Just know that could be some kind of positive influence or connection in regard to, this energy cycle. And that's what I'm going to talk about. This energy cycle is, directly in regard to your ex, you moving forward. Will this work? Is this a positive connection? So I would be aware of that F. Now, there isn't an F around you in spirit, right? A parent, a grandparent that's F?
No.
Okay. So then they're giving me the F as a significant positive influence around this situation. So I would say, just keep moving forward. I think you're going into a positive energy cycle for them to show me November. And I would just, again, like what we talked about, kind of rebalancing, kind of find that inward journey. So you're grounding and balancing your energy. And then you can have this empowered energy that you're exuding. And I believe that would help in all aspects, navigating relationships, navigating any type, whether this is a work relationship, whether this is an emotional love interest or whatever it may be. The more you can empower your energy, you're going to be more protective about the energy you're absorbing. So as far as like this overwhelm that you feel like you could potentially overwhelm someone or suffocate them, that you were talking about, I think you can shift that almost immediately, like within the next couple of days of just working with your breath, being very aware and very present in the moment, and then incorporate some sound healing. Go on go on to Shayna Blackmar's her YouTube channel, and she has all these different sound healing meditations. And I think that right there is going to kind of pull you out of your right brain, because that's what I feel like. Your mind is very analytical. You know, you're probably very good problem solver. You're probably, you know, you're high functioning, so you're always thinking. There's always that analytical mind working. You need to release that, and to release that for you is going to be in that breath work and that sound healing energy. So I think utilize that. And Shayna or Mary, do you have anything else to kind of add to this?
No, I mean, I think those were really good, positive suggestions that you just gave, and you know, I don't want you to misconstrue what I said earlier. I said that you're intense, and I just meant more or less to take a step back, because I think you have a very positive, intense energy, and sometimes it can be people don't know which way to take it, but you have a good heart, a big heart, and you mean well. So just give people more time also for communication. They're not as quick as you. How about that? They're just not as quick as you to decide things. When you know, they don't know that fast. A lot of people. That's what I'm receiving.
Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah, so Valerie, just for me to pull the John and the Elvis symbolism around him and the Richard, I would definitely say your collective is watching over you. They're trying to guide you through this situation. For them to give me that name and for you to be able to validate all that information, they're watching over you. They're trying to help you navigate this. So I would say just, you know, sit quietly and just try to pull those answers. You know, listen to that divine presence within and see what comes to you. You know, start utilizing your intuition. You know, you really have to capitalize on this really magnified energy that you're holding internally. So if you can take this intuition and you can start developing that into a really positive, magnified psychic energy, that's going to help you navigate. You're going to follow that inner guidance, and I absolutely would say it's not going to steer you wrong. It never does when we can tune into it. So, Valerie, really appreciate you calling in.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say quickly.
No.
I used to read. I used to read for people, clairvoyant, and I used the cards just to pull more information, and I did it for years. But then, because of faith reasons, I was like, okay, maybe, God, you don't want me to do this, but whatever you give me, I'll take. But maybe I'm not supposed to be reading for people. So I stepped back from it. So I did do this type of thing for people, and I stepped back.
Well, that's why it's so magnified. All right, so then, I mean, you have just validated everything, you know, that me reading your energy is so tuned in, it's so elevated. So you just need to kind of get back, you know, kind of get back on track with it. Start working with your energy again, you know. And even if you don't want to do it to do readings for other people or do what we're doing here, just to utilize it for your own well-being and to help you navigate any aspect of your life you need it to, if you don't tap back into that, you're doing yourself such a disservice. That would be the 1-2 psychic recommendation. I would say just get back to listening to your intuitive guidance. Get back to that energy work and just utilize it for your own highest good, because it's not going to steer you wrong.
Okay.
And then, Valerie, in a couple months, you can give us a call back and let us know how things have transpired. I guarantee once you hang up this phone and you start working with this energy, your life is going to make significant strides in a positive direction. I think you're going to be able to manifest everything you're trying to manifest, that relationship and whatever it may be. But just stay focused on it, and don't worry about that outside noise. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about, you know, do you, and everything else will fall into place. I guarantee it.
One more thing
I received. Yeah.
I received that there's so much love inside of you, and you want to reciprocate. You want someone to reciprocate it with you, and I believe you just need a little bit more time and patience, and something is going to come through for you, because I sense you have so much to give, and you just it's about you meeting the right person, and maybe like what Michael just said, and you're going to alter your energetic pattern and bring something else into your life that's going to bring this person into your life as well, or change a current situation that so it works to your benefit.
Okay. That sounds wonderful.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you
so much
all.
for calling in.
Thank
Have
you.
a great evening.
God bless.
Bye.
You as well. Bye.
Okay, everyone. So we have a few minutes left, and before we're going to bring one more caller in. Before we do, I just wanted to give Shayna, because sometimes it'll run past the time. That took a little bit longer than we expected. Can you please just, if there's anything you'd like to share with our listeners before you go, and also what you have to offer and can recommend from whether it's your website or just ways for people to contact you, Shayna.
Yeah, just, thank you everyone who was listening. I do Reiki and sound healing, of course. I've got the recordings on my website and on the YouTube channel. The website is Vurusha.com, Vurusha. The YouTube channel is just Shayna Blackmar. And the Reiki and the healing sessions can be in person or virtual. So if there's something coming up and the energy is connecting, it doesn't have to be in person, that we connect with the higher self and geography doesn't matter. And I do incorporate some sound healing into the Reiki session. So there's multidimensional healing going on. So, yeah.
Yay! Okay, so we'll bring one more person in. By the way, before
Do you want to hang around, Shayna? Do you want to hang around while we bring in the last caller, or do you want to?
Sure.
Do you want to get going? So, all right, awesome. All right, so we're keeping you on till the very end of the show. We're keeping you on the whole time.
She's from beginning
awesome.
to end tonight. Okay, and everyone, I just want to remind you, you can always listen to this, and I guess cut out the first 8 minutes because we aren't on, but you can always hear this over again on this Blog Talk Radio, and it will help you, these sound baths. Okay, upcoming guests, we have October 3rd, Estrella Feminine Priestess. You can join us next Thursday. It's just us, and I'll put up a show, and you'll find out exactly what it's about. October 10th, we have Lou Martin, Channel Intuitive, and again, I have an event coming up at the Manor Club in Pelham Manor on November 1st and 2nd. Okay, here we go. Everybody, and michaeledley.com and maryamyofficial.com. All right, this person's been holding a very long time. Let's see. Hello. Hi, this is Mary, Michael, and Shayna. Who's this? Hello. Is anyone there?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I wasn't sure. How are you? Good evening, all.
Good.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York.
Oh, okay. Another New Yorker. Here we go.
Nice.
Yes,
What is your
another
name?
New Yorker. My name is Shay.
Hi, Shay.
Is that S-H-A-E,
How are
or
you?
is it...
I wasn't sure if I wasn't sure how this is my first time calling, so I wasn't sure if there's a certain way where you guys can pick the caller or that caller ID comes out. So
Mary Annie just randomly brings you on, so we don't know anything about you, and that's the way we like it. You get a pure reading.
Okay, great. That's great.
So Shay, so we don't have a whole lot of time, so we're going to be pushing a lot of information through to you, but can you just give us your name slowly one time and then just present us the question that you wanted to ask?
Sure, thank you. My name is Shay, S-H-A-Y, and I have a relationship question as well. I've been in a relationship for approximately 3 years, and I've really been thinking deeply about moving on, but I'm not sure if I should or should not.
Okay, so relationship and moving on from this relationship. Okay, so I'm just going to connect your energy. Is it okay for me to connect your energy?
Thank you, sure.
Okay, so let's see. What's interesting, I have to ask, is as far as the relationship goes, why am I being pulled down to Miami? So I'm seeing a lot of, like, I'm being pulled down south. I'm being pulled into Florida, and I have a lot of, I feel like I'm seeing Miami skyline. So that's very significant. And for some reason, I'm also being pulled. I don't know if you're connected or a family member had passed in 9/11 around New York. But what's weird is in your energy field, I have a lot of symbolism that's pulling me to Miami and New York. And I feel like I'm seeing some 9/11, September 11th symbolism. So can you talk a little bit about that? Is there any connection or anything that would be tying you or connecting you to each of those that's in your energy field?
I definitely, there is something connecting me. My brother passed away in Miami 2 years ago, but the 9/11, I'm not sure where that's coming from.
So let me ask you this: Is it so? Let me ask you. So
could be because
so September and November. So let me ask you about the date of the month of the 9 being September and the 11 being November. Is there significance to either of those dates? Either of those months, I should say.
September is my father passed away in September as well a couple of years ago. So maybe.
Okay.
But
So I'm just
the 11.
It's the 11th. Okay. And the 11th.
I can't. No. It's not the 11th that he passed. I just can't recollect maybe now where the 11 is coming from.
Okay. So I just a lot. We're just pulling the energy through real quick, and I'm going to hand this off to Mary Amy. So I just be aware. In your energy field, they're talking about Miami, a lot of significance to Miami. So if your brother passed, I would say his energy is showing me Miami. In your collective, Miami is very prominent. So there's definitely someone around you tied into Miami. So I would just have to acknowledge his spirit around you and showing me that symbolism to let you know he's near. And I would also say the September, if that's tied into Dad, I would definitely say they're just trying to show me a piece of his energy, the history around him, trying to give me a little piece of information. And, the more we tie into this reading, the more would come through. Unfortunately, we're on a limited time here, but be aware of the November too. Be aware of the 11, because they're giving me this, and they're not giving me this information for no reason. That's why I want to bring it through, and I bring it through unfiltered. I'm giving you purely as I'm getting it. So just know, I do believe the Miami is tied into your brother. I do believe the September, they're giving me the 9 as September, and they're also giving me that 11 as November. So just be aware of that. But Mary Amy, what's coming to you around this?
Okay, so I'm going to pass it to Shayna first because she's been here, and I just want to give her a chance. Are you receiving anything, Shayna?
Yeah, I mean, just follow your heart, and you're having these this pulling away for a reason to help protect yourself and call your energy back.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
that
what
sounds
I received,
right.
What I received, Shay, is that there's a prominent issue that you're circling back, and it's related to the past, and that you mentioned at first that you were deciding whether or not to end this 3-year relationship. And what I'm receiving is that you feel alone. I saw skipping stones, when you go to maybe a lake or a pond and you skip stones, and I saw that, and that represents, or it's a symbol of your desires, and it's about insights into your subconscious mind and waking life. Have you considered just simply saying to yourself, asking your heart, how do I feel? What do I want? Because sometimes we get caught into this whole lapse of time, and we say, I've done it too, and it could be in regard to a personal relationship, it could be in job related to our career, or something that's going on in our lives that we say, okay, well, I already invested this amount of time, so I can't let it go. But it might not necessarily be the right thing for us. Is this making any sense to you?
It's making a lot of sense. A lot of sense, and that is how I feel. I'm investing a lot of time in something that I don't have a secure future clear on. I don't have any kind of vision of a future with this man, and I feel like I'm wasting my time.
Well, I think you need to
10
trust
years.
your own instincts, trust your intuition. And, you know, if things are meant to be, they'll come back. And maybe just take a step back and give yourself some space and allow your real feelings to come through. And, you know, you don't have to ask anybody else. You just go with your heart, because no one else is living your life and having your experiences. And, I mean, I'm not saying that you have people around you giving their opinion. I'm just saying be careful with who you listen to. Listening to yourself is wiser than listening to anyone else. And we appreciate you calling in, and I'm sorry you're running out of time. Thank you for calling in.
I appreciate, thank you so much, Jay.
Thank you. I appreciate all your time as well. And have a great night, and thank you so much for taking my call.
I hope you follow us and come back another time and tell us how things are going.
Definitely.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, be
thank
well.
You, Jay.
Okay.
Bye. I'd love to thank everyone for joining us tonight and being patient with us. And Shayna Blackmar, this wonderful sound healer and Reiki master and intuitive, and Michael Edley, psychic medium, or wait, what is your title? Evidential medium.
Evidential medium, yes. I think that's what I go by. But we would also like to thank Shayna Blackmar. Thank you so much for that amazing, I'm going to call it just this sonic bath that we have, the sonic bath, and sharing all your wonderful talents with us. You know, when you're ready to come out to the East Coast, we're going to have to do a live event, a live sound healing event. We have to work that into the schedule for 25 somewhere. I don't know, but I think it will be a great thing.
Yes. I'd also like to put out prayers to Deanna Nigel, and she came on our show, Mertz, and she's in Havana, Florida, and there's some kind of hurricane there. So everyone, let's send out blessings and love to her. Okay?
All right, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Listen to you. Everybody will be back